Oh my! And you know what? We owe something to them.
Yes, and I was watching.
Yeah.
I was watching. It was FMW, and it was about the ECW Invasion of FMW. And there was a promo that Paul Heyman did, and he talked about something that Terry Funk had said and something that ECW ran by. And they said that basically the idea is that those people, you want them to come, pay their money, and feel like they got their money's worth. But actually, you want to go further than that. You don't want them just to feel like they got their money's worth. You want them to feel like they would have paid double to get in that show. That if they paid $20, they would pay $40 to get in that show because it was that good.
Right.
And that's exactly what you should be doing.
Yeah. And if I can pull back the veil a little bit on CTW, if we can jump back a little bit. I don't know how much time you've got, by the way. You
know what? As much as we have, I figure we could talk about this for a few more minutes. Then I do need to go to commercial, and then I was hoping we could talk about Dangerous Uprisings this Saturday.
Okay, that'd be great. But, just to pull back the veil on CTW. CTW, I thought was a great contest. Mm-hmm. But, personally, 3 of the 4 shows that we ran last year, I lost one.
Right.
And that's not me complaining.
Mm-hmm.
I learned a valuable lesson.
Okay.
I learned a valuable lesson last year, and it is this. Mm-hmm. And this is what independent promotions in the tri-state area face. And maybe I'm the only guy, either I'm the only guy with the balls to say it on radio, or I'm the only guy stupid enough to say it on radio. But here we go.
Okay.
You're going to go to any one of 15 indie shows in New York, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You're going to see the same 35 guys.
Mm-hmm.
Why should you come to CTW if I'm just giving you the same 35 guys doing the same 35 things?
Right.
Right? And it's not a knock on the guys. It's not about the wrestlers. That's not their fault. Mm-hmm. That's my fault.
Right.
That's my fault as the promoter. Because these guys are getting booked everywhere because they're the right guys, because they're doing stuff right. They have commitment and they have passion and they have an understanding and a fan base. Guys like Rude Boy Riley, guys like Steve Scott, guys like Kyle the Beast, Joey Janela, Jeff Cannonball, Matt Tremont. I can go on and on and on down the list. And if I left you out, it's not because I hate you. It's because I don't want to list out 35 people.
Right.
But
right. Exactly.
Because now I feel bad. Now I'm like, I should have TJ Marconi and Mike Orlando and Matt McIntosh and blah, blah, blah. But anyway, the point being this. You got to give some people something different.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I'm running a show in Bridgewater and Guy X is running a show the following weekend in Hasbro Heights or in Manville or in South Jersey or on Long Island, and 60% of the roster is the same,
right?
Why should you come to me and not them?
Right.
Especially because my brand is newer.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that saying, it's a charity show was going to be enough to get people to come. And it's not because people are cheap and they don't want to support charity. Here's the thing. If I'm giving you virtually the same show as a guy that's 10 minutes away from you and I'm 40, which show are you going to go to?
Convenience, 10 minutes.
Right?
Of course.
The brand that you trust, that you've seen for a long time. So that, for a while, I was like, why isn't this working? And then I woke up one day and I realized, dummy, because you're not giving people what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Heyman in that promo, the ECW SMW promo you referenced, exactly right. You've got to give people something they want to come back for.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Beyond is doing that's great. UWA is cultivating a really nice fan base right now, and we'll talk about that after the jump.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also want to talk about, not just for a second, not for good. I think Matt Tremont and Jeff King are doing a tremendous job down at On Point Wrestling.
Oh, absolutely. I love On Point.
Cultivating just what... I have no problem saying it. I don't see people as competition. I think that if you do something great, you should be respected and lauded for it. I think the On Point product is one of the finest you're going to find anywhere in America right now.
Absolutely. I could go on and on. I go to On Point as a fan. I go, and when I go there, and I enjoy it every time I go, I always love the wrestling, and I find that it's one of the places that I watch that really reminds me of why I love wrestling. And it makes me feel enthusiastic. It's like, when you have that tank that gets a little bit depleted because, you're stressed out or you're busy or you're this or that, you go there and you have something like that and you're like, yeah, this is it. I remember now.
Right. Because
it's these fans,
it's
this emotion, this.
It's just different enough.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It is giving you something just different enough.
And they're giving it to their fans, and their fans know it. And so the fans, in turn, react to that. And their crowds are amazing to be in. They're just generally good, and their shows are good, and they're really well put together, and it's just amazing to watch. I just have so much respect for Matt Tremont, and for Loudy and what they do with On Point. It's absolutely wonderful. Mm-hmm. I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I think what we're doing is we're going to go and we're going to play some messages from our sponsors, about 2 minutes, and then Colin and I will be back, and we're going to talk about Dangerous Uprisings, which is this week's UWA Elite show. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about the card and a few other things, and we will be back.
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
This is the hardcore icon, Just Incredible, and you're listening to Damage 365 Radio. Now that's not just the coolest, that's not just the best. Damage 365 Radio, now that's just incredible.
Funkenstein Wrestling Superstore, selling wrestling memorabilia from all around the world, including WWE, TNA, Japan, Mexico, and the very best of the independents. They've got action figures, DVDs, autographed memorabilia, t-shirts, and more. Plus, stop in and get tickets for great promotions like UWA Elite, CZW, and many others. Located indoors at the world-famous Englishtown Flea Market, Green Building, booth number 35 on 90 Wilson Avenue, Manalapan Township, New Jersey. Open every Saturday and Sunday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Log on to Facebook.com/Funkenstein Inc. for more information.
Join Brandon Lewis and Christopher Scythe Bracey every Tuesday night on YouTube.com/2KW at 8:30 p.m. as they bring you the matches and moments that make 2KW Pro the heart of New York City. 2KW Pro, your company, your wrestling.
This is Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and you're listening to Damaged Radio 365. Yeah, baby!
The following announcement has been paid for by the New World Order.
And I'm back with Colin West, my guest, commentator for UWA and owner of CTW. And we want to talk about UWA Elite. There's a big show coming up this Saturday night at the Holy Trinity Episcopal Church. It is Dangerous Uprisings. I know there will be a special guest. I know Cowboy Bob Orton will be there during intermission. And there's like 8 great matches. I believe it's 8 that I want to talk about. So, I'd love to hear your insight into this, Colin.
Well, let's be fair. There's 7 great matches and 1 terrible one.
Oh.
And you know who you are. You know who you are, crappy 8th match. I'm kidding. I'm actually very excited about this show.
Okay, so let's jump in. There's a lot of matches, and there's some guys that I'm not as familiar with on the scene, and maybe some of the listeners won't be as familiar about that you could give us a little bit of insight into.
Sure.
One in particular I was thinking of was Chris Powers versus Corey Dillinger.
Okay, are you familiar or not familiar?
I'm not as familiar with those wrestlers, so if whatever insight you have...
Let me, here's what's funny about that match. Mm-hmm. You just don't know you are.
Okay.
Do you watch Gotham?
Yeah, I watch Gotham.
Chris Powers appeared in, I believe, 3 or 4 episodes of Season 1 of Gotham as a professional stuntman and a gang member.
Wow, cool.
Chris Powers is... When we say, oh, it's a Hollywood stuntman, Chris Powers, it's not a gimmick. He is a Hollywood stuntman. Like, he takes fake bullets and huge falls and is an acrobatic wizard. A legitimate, high-flying, daredevil stuntman. Great athlete, great talent. He is one of those guys that you will come to a show and you will leave and you will say, I've never heard of that guy, but I want to see that guy again. Mm-hmm. He's great. I can't say enough about Powers. Dillinger, the reason you don't know Corey Dillinger is because he is, as of now, he has been mostly in northern New Jersey.
Okay.
Dillinger is the antithesis of Chris Powers, if you will. I almost said Nicolas Cage. They almost look exactly like each other, and the running joke is that you've never seen Chris Powers and Nicolas Cage in the same place at the same time. Anyway, sorry, just popped myself a little bit. Corey Dillinger is the complete antithesis of Chris Powers. He is almost 6'5". He is just a brick of a man. He's huge. And to the powerhouse. He's a guy who is 6'5" that enjoys being 6'5" and big. He doesn't do what a lot of 6'5" guys who are huge, pushing 290, 300. Like, well, I'm going to be a flyer. I'm going to show them. I'm going to do it. No, Corey Dillinger beats you up. Stands there, works at his methodical pace, and beats you up. So this is a very, very strong matchup of strength versus speed, of brutality versus agility. It is one of the shows matches on the show I think could actually steal the thing. And people will be shocked, but I won't. Powers versus Dillinger, I am fully expecting to be one of the better matches on this card.
Well, then I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I like those kind of classic, smaller speed athlete versus the larger man. And like I said, I like when it gets kind of subverted where the larger man or the smaller man maybe gets a little bit in on the larger guy, and they work together. And if they have good chemistry, it's going to be a good match.
Right.
Regardless.
Okay.
And you talked a little bit.
Throw me another one.
Well, you mentioned Nicolas Cage, and so he's going to be taking on Bose. And I know both those guys. Yeah, Bose is a little scary, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
Or to put it nice.
You said it before, I run the UWA Elite All Access podcast, which you can hear live every Wednesday night at 11 p.m. Eastern by logging on to blogtalkradio.com/UWA Elite Wrestling. I had Nicolas Cage on last night as a guest. We're having a very nice conversation about wrestling and his agenda as the number one contender to the UWA Elite Championship and his goals in the business. And then Bose called in and said that he was going to cut off Nick's face and wear it as a mask. And it kind of, you say something like that, it kind of puts a damper on the conversation. Kind of makes you kind of want to wash your face and go to church. Like,
we start praying for Nicolas Cage right there. Yeah.
Yeah, look, Nick Cage calls himself a professional wrestler, and man, is he. He looks the part, he acts the part. You've seen Nicolas Cage in other places. Had a hellacious feud with Anthony Stone last year in Beyond Wrestling, was part of the front in ECW, with Sozio and with Corvus, Trooper Audubon, etc. So you've seen him other places.
Right.
Guy can go. He's tough as nails. He went, the brawl for it all was last year a huge over-the-top rope battle royal. Nicolas Cage came in number one and lasted an hour and 4 minutes in that match. Just an outstanding performance, went from number one to the final four. He also came back the following month at Last Breath 2015 and defeated Robbie E. So he's on a very nice little roll for himself here. Won the Ultimate Turmoil Gauntlet match last month, became the number one contender, defeated Bose with a stacked-up pin. Bose kicked out about 3.5, but 3 is all you need. So Bose now seeking out retribution. And again, another guy who is not afraid to be his size, 6'5", 300 pounds, just vicious, just absolutely vicious. And I don't mean that in a, his character and his gimmick is super vicious. He will hurt you.
Absolutely.
He'll hurt you.
Yep.
So this one is a grudge match extraordinaire, and I expect nothing less than for this. Not going to be pretty. The two are going to beat the hell out of each other.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, Kay's got to stay focused on Bose and not look forward to Hedges, and the UWA Elite Championship. He really needs to stay focused on Bose because Bose is so incredibly
could not agree more. Was that a segue to Hedges, by the way? That's a well-done segue.
You know what? It wasn't. Actually, wait. No, it was. No, it really wasn't, but I'm just going to take credit for it anyway.
Take credit for the segue. Take credit for the segue.
Yes, I did that on purpose.
See? See?
So, and Hedges...
I knew you did.
I'll tell you, and Hedges can't look toward Nicolas Cage because he's got also a huge challenge. And I'll tell you, he's taking on Magic and Jeremiah. And I'll tell you, Magic is scary by himself, too. He's just a large man. He can move, and he's a veteran. He knows what he's doing, all that experience. And Jeremiah is a little